All right, so thanks to everyone for joining. This is the October OpenBazaar dev call that we have every month. Um, so, the majority of work that has been done over the past month has one common theme, which is work toward getting Ethereum integrated into OpenBazaar and Haven as well. Um, So on the server side, specifically, nearly all the work that has been done over the past month is focused on Ethereum integration. Um, this has been ongoing for quite some time for those that have uh, listened to previous updates. We are making progress. We don't have a specific timeline, but we're we're getting closer to getting that complete. Several of our team members did go to DevCon, the Ethereum conference in Japan, and they're actually coming home perhaps tomorrow um, to go check it out. We did hope to have the Ethereum integration done by that point to sort of show to folks it's not quite there, but reports from the conference were positive about what we're trying to do, and as well as learning new things that other folks are doing. I've seen a few people posting about um, some efforts to increase Ethereum privacy and whatnot that seemed really promising. Um, on the server side, another big issue worth noting is the fact that um, we recognize that there is a bug at play in the 32-bit builds for the server. And basically, what's happening is timestamps are not being done correctly. The bug is actually quite, we think it's probably quite difficult to deal with based on us working and looking at it in the Go code. And because we looked at the number of total downloads of the 64-bit binaries versus the 32-bit, and the number of 32-bit users is a very small proportion of overall, we decided that we were not going to put time and resources into fixing the timestamp bug for 32-bit, and instead no longer produce those installers on new releases. So what that means is if you're currently using a 32-bit installation, that when the new release comes out, there will no longer be another 32-bit binary to use, and it's likely the case that it will not operate correctly with the rest of the network after the next release, or at least for some time period afterward. It may, but it is not expected to for very long. So there's basically just two options moving forward for those folks. One is, if it's possible, then upgrade to 64-bit, obviously. The upgrade should not have any issues. And the second, if it's on a device that simply doesn't support 64-bit, then it will need to be moved. The node itself, the data, will need to be moved onto a 64-bit machine. We do have some articles written to talk through how that can be done on our in our support desk. And as it gets closer to that, we've shared out information on our platforms how to do that, but we'll share that again as the date gets closer. So if anyone has questions about the 32-bit problem or the plan moving forward, feel free to ask questions in Slack, and we can clarify any questions you might have. Also on the server side, this month is Hacktoberfest, which is a sort of a program that's done by GitHub and other organizations, which celebrates open source and tries to give people some fun incentives to participate and make commits to open source repositories. There are several issues that have been tagged in the Go repository for Hacktoberfest. So if you're interested in participating in those, go for it. I think there might be some swag on the line. Of course, we always are happy to see people contribute. On the client side, there has been basically no work done over the past month, or if there has, it's fairly minor. Um, on the OpenBazaar web, I'm sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, to correct you there, actually quite a bit of work is being done, but it's all related to the Ethereum integration. So
Okay.
nothing publicly viewable yet.
Okay. Yep. There, I made an assumption there. There's nothing in the master branch, but I'm sure that work is done on a different branch. Hasn't been merged in yet. So, my bad there. Yeah, Ethereum work, but nothing committed yet to the master branch.
Yeah, the server and desktop client are kind of working in tandem. So as things are available on the server, we're updating the desktop. But since neither one is ready yet, none of that's open to the public. Well, it's not in the master branch, and it hasn't been published to a release. Obviously, the repos are public.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. As I said, the Ethereum work has been the sort of overall push. Okay. The next is the web work. Again, so as we've talked about in previous dev calls, a big part of why this is such a difficult thing to do for Ethereum is because the precision of Ethereum and Bitcoin, which OpenBazaar is based on, is different, requiring you to go through and change precision throughout the application. That work has been underway for the web client for some time, and I believe is now completed or is very close to completion. And on the website, the work right now that's being done is to fix or to implement inventory on the web as well. On the Haven side, there have been a couple releases that have been put out over the last month. The most recent one fixed a bug that implemented the calculations in checkout. So that's fixed. There are some changes that have been made kind of under the hood to prepare for Ethereum, which is still several updates away on the Haven side, but there's groundwork being laid. There's some other minor fixes as well. One of the big things that is being worked on now on the Haven side for the next Haven release is changes to the social feed. It's basically integrating a service called Stream that gives a lot more flexibility, a lot more options than the existing social service. And on the Haven side, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I think we just passed 15,000 installations from when we launched a few months ago. So it's been really exciting to see the number of people using Haven, and generally very positive reviews and whatnot. So that's been good. And then there's been various things done on the infrastructure side to beef up the Blockbook servers, and there's also a super secret project underway that's it's not public yet, but in the near future should be rolled out, and we think will help spur adoption of Haven. And I can't give any more information on that. Yes, I'm also reminded, thank you, Mike, that Haven is working on backup and restore capability. Right now, the only way you can back things up in Haven is with a seed, which will make sure that your wallet is protected. And it's kind of complicated how you can restore your node from a seed, but the process is not simple to do and isn't really possible to do on Haven at the moment. So what is being done now is a proper backup of the actual data, basically just I believe the plan for now is to just sort of zip that data up, but um, that is being worked on now as well. So people can back that up off device and then restore if something went wrong with their device. Okay, so that is more or less what has been worked on over the past month, um, and what we are planning on doing in the immediate future. Um, does anyone from OB1 have anything to add that I've missed that we've been working on and is worth mentioning? All right, haven't heard anyone speak up. Moving forward, it's more or less a continuation of all the stuff that I mentioned. Obviously, trying to get the Ethereum work completed, both server and client. Um, and the next big thing that we're kind of looking at, really putting our attention on once the Ethereum work is completed, is sorting out some of the problems that we've seen with ordering and messaging issues. We have had reports from the community about messaging, messages just dropping and not being received by another party, as well as order states not proceeding correctly, which both of those things obviously cause a problem for the overall order flow, as well as disputes. So having problems occasionally. So we've in parallel with the Ethereum work, we've tried to sort of diagnose what the issue is, or issues, and once Ethereum is completed, we will be able to really dive deeply into that and hopefully find out, diagnose it and fix it. So that's kind of the next big thing on the radar. And then there's all kinds of features and things we want to add moving forward into Haven, other than just the stream things that I mentioned moving forward. Is there anything from the OB1 team that I've missed that we are looking to tackle over the next month? Okay, sounds like no. So at this point, I typically open it up to any folks from the community who want to either ask questions or give updates on what they've been working on. So I only see three external parties here on the call, but if anyone wishes to ask questions or talk about what they're working on, please go for it.
I have a couple of general questions. I'm not sure that this is really the right venue for them, but I was wondering, for example, how fulfillment works in this marketplace. Is there any information that I could find that would explain that to me?
Yeah, so thank you, Christian, for the question. If you're not in the community Slack group, then I recommend you join, and that's a great place to ask these sorts of questions. We can get the details to you. I mean, fulfillment in general. If you mean fulfillment from a like a automatic perspective, the way OpenBazaar works is each individual vendor just deals with fulfillment themselves. There is no automation to it. Now, someone could sort of build that in if they wanted to do so, but at this point, it's really a tool for individuals or small businesses to be able to handle their own commerce directly, and there's no links to other services within the application that do that sort of thing.
Okay, second question. With the Ethereum integration, are you contemplating any kind of US dollar backstop? In other words, are you going to make the coins just pure coins that fluctuate wildly? Or do you intend to establish some kind of a reserve currency base level value for them?
That's another good question. So right now, there are four currencies that you can use: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Zcash. Obviously Ethereum coming soon. It's rolled out in a sort of multi-stage process. The first is straight Ethereum, so you'll just be able to buy and sell things using Ethereum directly. But the plan is to also integrate ERC20 and potentially other Ethereum standards down the road, but initially ERC20. And you should be able to use tokens that are ERC20 based, such as stable tokens. So I believe it's been said there are specific plans to get DAI, which is a Ethereum stable coin, integrated. So in a sense, that could be used by people who want to have that sort of reserve currency. But there is not going to be an attempt to make a reserve currency like that across the platform. That it won't be the standard by any means. There is no standard in OpenBazaar. Anyone can use whatever coin they choose, because we want to give people the ability to sort of control their own trade and manage their own money however they see fit.
Just to add a little bit to that, Christian, before you ask another question, there have been lots of attempts by other people in the community to add other coins that are not officially supported by OpenBazaar. Notably, Monero and Steam have been two publicly discussed coins that we've seen contributions for. And down the line, we'd like to have our wallet interface more formally defined via like some sort of specification or interface that a third-party developer could write. So at some point, someone who might want to provide, say, a credit card processing backend to OpenBazaar could potentially do something like that. That's probably like in the 6, 12 to 18 month time frame, but something that's been discussed a lot on the project in the past.
Thanks for that. Those are the only questions I had at this time. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks for the questions. As I mentioned, Slack's a great place for that sort of thing, and to just connect with other folks who, are interested in OpenBazaar specifically, and probably in decentralization tech broadly. I imagine there's a lot of overlap there as well. Any other comments or questions from anyone else before we wrap up this dev call? All right, thanks everyone for your time. If you want to continue this conversation or have other questions, as I've mentioned, Slack's a great place to do it. Everyone have a great month, and see you next month.